Hey guys, we are Sean and Christy. This is Long Long Honeymoon, and yes, it is true. We hit a deer.
Well, we just had a very unfortunate incident. We were driving on our way to a family reunion on Christmas Eve, and a very large male deer jumped out on the road right in front of us.
Thank God we were in this truck, because if we had been in a passenger like sedan, we would probably be dead right now, because it was so big that it probably would have bashed in our windshield and we probably would be dead. I mean, thank God for Seymour. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
On Christmas Eve, there is a lot of deer and reindeer activity around our globe. So perhaps it's no coincidence that this terrible incident happened when it did. We were on a highway called Highway 72. It's a somewhat rural area, and it's very dark on either side of the highway. And this particular stretch of highway had a speed limit of 55 miles per hour. So we're riding along in our truck. We were not towing our Airstream at the time, thankfully.
It's completely pitch black dark on the side of the road here. So there was no forewarning. It just leapt up right in front of our truck at the worst possible moment.
You did a good job, because you had both hands on the wheel. You did hit the brakes.
I did the best I could to avoid it, but there was no avoiding it.
No.
Like there was just,
I think if you had jerked and tried to avoid it, we would be in a ditch.
Exactly.
Injured and in worse shape.
At that speed, especially if I tried to take some evasive maneuver, we would have rolled the truck. We would have had a really horrible, horrible wreck.
I mean, thank God we were driving this truck. If we'd been in one of our cars, we'd probably be dead right now.
Yeah, it was a big deer.
There's no illumination on this highway at all. You are just in the country, and the only illumination you have is from your headlights. And I was digging down in my purse for something when it jumped out, so I didn't see it jump out. I heard him yell, "Oh crap," and I looked up, and right as I looked up, deer backside from the side was hitting the front of the truck.
Yeah. Of course, I slammed on the brakes, but I was very conscious not to swerve. More than 30 years ago, a friend of mine lost his girlfriend in a tragic automobile accident, and the account that was told to me was that she swerved to avoid a dog that had run out onto the highway. And when she swerved, she lost control of her vehicle. The vehicle overturned. She was thrown from it and sadly died. So that incident has always stuck with me, that if I'm ever put into the situation, I'm going to maintain control of the vehicle first and foremost, even if it means costing the life of the animal that has jumped out in our path. We have towed our rig all over North America. We've been around moose, we've been around elk, we've been around plenty of deer, and lo and behold, for the first time ever, we had this happen to us in North Alabama.
But I will say, you did a really good job stomping on the brakes when you saw it and maintaining control, because whatever speed we were going when we hit it, we weren't going fast enough for our airbags to deploy.
I must have braked pretty well, because the deer, I think, survived the initial collision enough to get out of the highway, out of the road.
Yeah.
And I will point out, earlier this year, we had a brand new brake system installed on our truck.
Yeah.
So we do have new brakes, and they performed very well in this situation.
For us, anyway, we're such animal lovers. We, of course, were terribly upset that we hit this deer, because it was so beautiful. It was a buck, had a huge rack. You don't want to kill an animal, especially like that.
We were very lucky when this collision happened, and it's partially because our big old truck sits up so high off the ground that the deer did not come over the hood. People get killed by animal collisions of this type. I was expecting the front end of our truck to be completely devastated, but it was still drivable. We immediately maneuvered the truck off the highway and went out to inspect the damage.
Thank goodness there was a safe place to do that, and we were able to get out and kind of, turn on a flashlight and shine over the truck and see where the damage was.
So when this happens to you, you have to make some decisions. First of all, is your vehicle drivable? And you can't really immediately assume that it is. You have to do a pretty good inspection, make sure there are no fluid leaks.
I'm gonna crank it.
Secondly, you have to decide if you're going to file a police report. In our case, we did contact the police, but because our vehicle was drivable and because thankfully no one was injured in the accident, the police did not need to come out.
Lauderdale County is the county we were in, and they actually have a patrolled community watch that works with the local police department. So this guy happened to just see us stopped on the side of the road with our hazard lights on, and he stopped to ask if we were okay and find out what had happened.
Gauge the show to it, I'd run it. This thing happens, it'll let you know.
Yeah, we appreciate your stopping.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah. Well, we're thankful it wasn't worse, Sean, I'm Sean, and my wife Christy.
I'm Christy. Her last name's Michael. Yep.
Michael, you getting any Michaels around the
Oh, yeah.
Michael.
All sorts of Michaels.
And he had just come from the direction we'd come from, and so he said he did not see a deer on the road or on the side of the road that was blocking anything. And he actually called the police for us to ask if they needed to come. So he had their direct line because he was their community watch person. So he was very helpful. His name was Doug. Thank you, Doug, if you happen to see this video. We appreciated your help very much. And he actually was going to go back and check to make sure that the deer wasn't on the other side of the highway blocking anything. And he obviously didn't find that because when we passed by later, it wasn't there.
And Doug did mention that that particular stretch of highway was a known deer crossing.
Yep. Be safe. Watch out for deer.
I know where they are down here because I just live right up the road.
Oh, yeah, it just jumped. I mean, sometimes there's just nothing you can do. You know what I mean?
That's exactly.
I got to admit, first of all, I felt pretty bad about killing this big, beautiful deer in this way. Didn't feel right. And secondly, I felt bad about our truck because we just crossed the 200,000 mile mark on our truck Seymour. In fact, on our most recent trip back from west to east, we crossed 200,000 miles in Texas. We now have around 202,000 on the odometer. This happened just a few weeks after we had our truck ceramic coated. And with the truck being ceramic coated, it really was looking better.
Seymour looked amazing. He was looking like he did when he was brand new. So that was a bummer, It's like, well, our truck was looking so good. We were so proud to be driving it around. It looked so great. And now he's beat up again.
Yeah, we were going to do a video really showing it off. Like, look how beautiful our old truck looks after this ceramic coating. Now Seymour is going to need a significant facelift.
Well, I think really the front bumper has to be replaced and the front grille. So it's not like we're having to replace the hood or fenders or anything like that. So hopefully we'll be able to get those parts ceramic coated and Seymour will be back to looking good again.
apparently animal vehicle collisions happen 1.5 million times a year in this country. So I'm sure a lot of our audience has dealt with the situation before. But you need to obviously get your vehicle safely off the highway. They say you really should not approach the deer because a wounded, injured deer could be dangerous to you.
They have really powerful legs that they can kick with, and they have really sharp hooves. And so if you get kicked by a deer, like, it could do some major damage. I mean, if it kicked you in the head, it could kill you. So yeah, don't approach the deer. If it isn't killed immediately and it's nearby, then I would definitely call the police and let them know that it's there, because sometimes they will come and put it down and clear it from the road so that's not a threat to anybody else, and so that's not suffering.
So what can you do to avoid this type of incident happening to you? Well, in my opinion, there's only so much you can do, because we've probably all been in those situations when you're on a highway and there are deer grazing right next to the road. And if one of those deer decides to leap out into your path, sometimes a collision is unavoidable. However, there are these little devices called deer whistles, and these attach to the front grille or wherever you want to put it, I suppose, on your vehicle. And the idea is when you're traveling at a high rate of speed down the highway, the air blows through this whistle, creates the whistle sound, and may startle the deer in advance and keep the deer out of your path. Like they may run away from these whistles. A lot of people say these whistles work. Immediately after this incident, we ordered a bunch of them. This was a 10-pack that I bought off Amazon for $12.99. Yeah, that's an annoying sound.
Might be slightly deaf now.
Hopefully you can't hear this inside the cabin of your vehicle. I don't think you can.
That would deter me.
Yeah. But you can see they just attach with this little tape. You just peel and stick. And in theory, this might help protect you from this kind of accident. And we'll probably have to talk to Vinny and Brian about getting Seymour a little more ceramic on the front.
We might be driving to Tallahassee. But something else that we learned in all of this is that some states it's illegal to leave a deer after hitting it, like to just hit it and drive away without reporting it to the police. So you really need to check and see what the law is in whatever state you happen to be visiting. We did report it to the police, so we're in the clear. In some places, it can be illegal to just hit it and drive away without alerting anybody.
So that's it, guys.
It was a sad way to close out 2021.
And what a Christmas Eve to remember.
Yeah, it was really a bummer.
But it's my understanding that all of the children's presents got delivered on Christmas Day. So apparently this particular deer had nothing to do with Santa's sleigh or anything of that
It wasn't
nature.
a Rudolph reindeer. It was a Beauregard buck.
You know, if this deer had only had a glowing red nose, we might have seen it in advance.
Easy to avoid.
As always, thank you guys for tuning in to Long Long Honeymoon, the longest running honeymoon-themed RV channel on the interwebs. I can say that with confidence. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. We are Sean and Christy. This has been yet another episode of Long Long Honeymoon. Stay tuned for a future episode in which we get Seymour out of the shop. And we may have a rental truck to play around with while Seymour is getting a facelift.
Yeah, we'll see what they've got. Rental cars are hard to come by these days, so not sure what's available to us.
It
But
could be fun to have a truck from this decade.
we would feel a really high class with a current decade vehicle.
If you're new to our channel, please subscribe. We've been stuck at 249,000 subscribers for it seems like the last 5 years.
Long time. Really long time. Please click that little subscribe button to help us push over the 250,000 mark.
See you next time, guys. Happy New Year.
Lo ho.
Lo ho.